We're live.
Hello.
Hi everyone. Hope you're all well today. We've got a smaller ladies live than usual. I just want to say get well soon to Shelley because she's not feeling very well. So today I've got with me Andrea Hills, Kelly from Flipping Fantastic Finds, Heather from Heather the Treasure Pirate, and Karen from Karen Sells Clothes. And today we're going to talk about our other halves, something different. I've adapted some of the questions for Andrea because we obviously all know about Andrea's other half. So I've adapted a couple of the questions.
We know too much.
Oh, I'm Karin, by the way. Hello, everyone. I think on Instagram, I'm Kazi. So a lot of people call me Kazi on Instagram, but my name's Karin. Kazi's my kind of nickname. I'm just going to see if I can get the chat up myself because I haven't got it for some reason. I really would like it.
Yeah, we thought we'd do the other half theme with it being Valentine's Day yesterday, and we were struggling to think of a topic, so we decided to come up with this, didn't we? Just get a little insight.
Yeah. Right. So the first question is how and when did you meet your other half? Now, probably a lot of people know Andrea and Nick's story, but I think did you talk about it last night on your live on the chat last night, Andrea?
Loads before. I think most people know how we met. We met in a record shop.
Yeah.
But in '96.
All right. Yeah. I think '96 was the height of sort of Britpop, really, wasn't it? Or
it was,
yeah.
I just finished uni. I got a Christmas temp job in Our Price. So did he. And we met and we were friends. And then a year later, he asked me out and haven't looked back.
Brilliant. And what about you, Kelly?
Well, me and Barry have been together for 18 years, but we're not married. So I always struggle to know what to call him because boyfriend sounds a bit strange when you get over 40. Partner sounds, you're not quite sure whether it's a gay partner or not. So I don't know where to call him. So I do call him my husband or my hubby, but we're not actually married. Feels like we're married. And if you ask Barry how we met, it'll be a totally different story to how we actually met because he's a bit embarrassed about how we met. He will say we met at a rave in Milton Keynes. That's what he tells people, but we didn't. We actually met on the internet back in the old MSN chat days.
Oh, wow.
Don't know if you remember those. Yeah, and he used to be downloading songs off Napster and we was chatting in the chat room, and that's how we met. So a bit like because some people won't know what the MSN chat rooms are because they got closed down, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a bit like the Tat Chat, but it was all day, and you just get chatting to people and having a joke, and you feel the same way as you do now, I suppose. You get to feel like you know people. So yeah, that's how we actually met. And then I jumped on a train down to Watford and met him in person.
Oh yeah, I forgot he's a southerner, isn't he?
He is indeed, yes.
And he's lovely. I've met him and he's a really nice guy.
Yeah, you've all met him, haven't you?
Yeah, you've all met him, yeah. What about you, Heather?
Well, I met he is now my husband, has been for a little while, but I actually met him in 1989. Yes, that ancient. We both worked for the same company, which was Barclays up in London. Hello, Nick. And he was very, very shy. And I remember thinking he didn't like me because he wouldn't talk to me. He'd talk to my best friend, who I shared a house with, who I also worked with at the same place. He'd talk to her and she had a boyfriend. And I just thought, well, that's not very fair. That's a bit greedy. But apparently the reason he didn't talk to me is because he was shy. And I'd never come across shy before. But there we go. That's how we met.
What about you, Karen?
Right. I left college in the end of 97, 98. I can't remember. It's so long ago. And I carried on working at McDonald's because I worked my way up to management there. I worked with Cole's sister. She was also a manager there. And then he came along for a Saturday job. I was his boss, basically. Then we kind of got together, which is quite secretive because I was quite good friends with his sister. I still am quite good friends with his sister. And then, yeah. And then we kind of told her. And then after I think about a couple of years, she turned around and said, I thought we'd only last week. So, yeah, I was his boss, basically.
Well, a lot of people say to me that me and Darren were meant to meet. It was like fated because we actually did meet through friends. He was working for his uncle. He'd moved down to Felixstowe from here in Newcastle, and he was working for his uncle. And my parents had a corner shop, and he worked nearby, and he used to come in every so often. I was with someone else at the time, and he used to come in every so often and buy cigarettes because he smoked then. He used to smoke Marlboro Lights, and I did think he was quite nice. He did, and I thought he had a nice accent, but that was it really. But what I didn't know was years and years before, his auntie and uncle actually lived across the road from me when I was a kid, and he used to come down nearly every summer on holiday and stay there. So the amount of times we were probably on the same park, it was like an estate and there was a big children's park in the middle. The amount of times we were probably on the park then and we didn't, never met. But then how we actually met was through mutual friends who were going to get married. And I can't remember why, but they had to postpone the wedding. So they had a party instead on the day that the wedding was supposed to be. And I met him at that party. And I was telling one of my friends my new mobile number, and he came up. I'd literally said hello to him, and that was it. He came up and said, "Oh, can I have your number?" And I went, "No, you can't." And then all evening we were chatting, and I just ended up not speaking to anyone else. I just ended up sitting next to him and talking to him the whole evening. And then he walked me home at the end of the evening, and I gave him my number. And then we arranged to have a first date about a week later, and he actually came to my house, introduced himself to my parents, bought my mum a bunch of flowers, and asked my dad if he could take me out, which is just, I know, very romantic. So
top tip there from Karen's fella.
And there's a running joke between my dad and him that my dad paid him to take me away. So, yeah.
How old was you, Karen, when you first met him then?
I was 22.
22?
Yeah. Just turned 22. Yeah, sorry. It was 2002 we met, so we've been together 17 years now.
I must admit, Carl was the only boyfriend my dad ever liked. I mean, my dad was known for kicking my boyfriends out of his house, a lot, and he was not shy in telling them what he thought of them. And yeah. I did say to Carl when he first came around, because I was, not long after we got together, I was buying somewhere, but I had like 3 months between my lease being up on the place I was renting and actually buying where I was living before. And I did say to him, I said, look, you're going to come around. My dad's probably going to be a complete a-hole, but he's just my dad and he's really protective. But he was not, he was the complete opposite, because he was like, my dad is very much like Carl. So if you ever met Carl, you'd know exactly what my dad's like. They're 2 peas in a pod.
Yeah, my first boyfriend I had when I was like 19 to 21, and we got engaged. My dad threw him down the stairs because he didn't like him at all, but he was right. So,
blimey.
They always say that you go for someone that's similar to your dad, don't they?
Yeah.
I think that's true.
Yeah, Darren and my dad are similar in the ways that they're really caring, but in a lot of ways they're very opposite. They've not got much in common, but they are similar in their in their caring personalities, I think. So, So my second question is, sorry.
I was going to say, I think Indy's beat us all because she met her husband on CB radio.
Yes.
I remember that. That used to be really big.
It is.
I want to know. Sorry, Karen. Again. I want to know what your handle was, Indy. Was it Indy Chick back in the day?
My second question is, what does your other half do for a living? Which obviously I can't give to Andrea, but I'll start with you, Kelly.
Again? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, again, if you ask Barry, he would say he programs robots for a living. He thinks that sounds cool. But what he actually does is a tool setter for an injection molding company. So he sets up all the big machines. That's what he does. And they are actually called robots, so he's not telling fibs.
So is he like an engineer then?
Yeah, engineering.
What about your husband, Heather?
He is a programmer of computers.
Oh,
Exactly what he does goes a bit like, but yeah, he's quite. He has this thing where a lot of people who program computers aren't very good at communicating with people. Luckily for my husband, he's good at programming computers, but he's also quite good at dealing with people. So that gives him quite an advantage. So yeah, he deals with clients and computers.
and Karen, I think we know, don't we, Karen, with you? But
Carl's a gas fitter and integrated engineer. He works for a company called Know How, which are part of PC Wells and Currys. Basically, he goes around, he does all the fitting of the gas cookers, hobs, washing machines that need to go and built-in stuff, you know, because I'm really into his job, right? Built-in stuff. He goes around the southeast and he does that, but he is looking at moving over to service goods instead, which is basically if you buy something from them, you've got the insurance or it's in warranty, you've got a leak washing machine, he'll come out and fix it. So because it's a bit more money and it's Monday to Friday.
well, I don't know if you all know, you probably do, but my husband is a support worker with disabled adults, and he works for the Percy Headley Foundation, which is the charity that I used to work for as well. I used to be a receptionist in the day centre, but my husband works in the residential side of it. But he's got some quite jammy things with his job. He gets to go on holidays with some of the residents. So he's been on quite a few nice holidays. The one that when he went to Disney World, I was quite jealous. And he also has got a season ticket for the football, and he takes someone to the football, goes to all the home games. So that's quite jammy as well. So yeah, but it is a really hard job as well. And he works really hard.
Yeah,
he does long shifts.
My dad used to do that job.
Yeah, it is a hard job. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Right, so my third question is, if your partner was a reseller, what would they sell? And for a difference for Andrea, it would be, what would Nick do if he wasn't a reseller?
Gosh, I think he's watching. What would you do? Well, as you know, he used to be a policeman. He wanted, for a while, he was really interested in more the detective side of it. So he was going to try and work his way up into that. But because he's a person that doesn't really like to live by rules, and he doesn't like to have a boss, it didn't really suit him. So correct me if I'm wrong. So I think he was always destined to work for himself in some way. He was always going to find something he could do to make his own money and have his own business.
I'll start with Heather this time. What would your husband do if he was? What would he sell if he was reselling?
I have had these conversations with him because I am kind of thinking at some point he might not want to go and work programming computers. It would probably make sense for him to be involved in something fairly techy, maybe like watches or, you know, something quite specialised, like model railway type thing, you know, something a bit nerdy and a bit niche, but something he could, I've always said he needs to pick something and really get knowledgeable on it and in one narrow area. Unlike me, who's a complete magpie, he would need to have that comfort of knowing he had knowledge about a certain area. But I don't know exactly what he would do. It'd have to be something that made money as well. So, yeah.
What about you, Karen?
I think he wouldn't go into it. But if he was going to go into it, it would have to be something like Heather said, like that they know about. So it would have to be football memorabilia. He's obsessed with football, football shirts, that kind of thing, or tools. Like proper tools, you know, like DeWalt drills and things like that, because he knows it. You know, he was in the building trade before he went to work for Know How. He's a gas fitter, you know, he knows all the tools and how much they're worth. But I can't ever see him doing it, ever.
What about you, Kelly?
Well, he's a fast learner, and he's pretty good at naming basic collectibles already, although he's not really interested in them. So he can name like Bezic and Wade and Royal Dalton and Lalique and things like that. You know, you see him on the programmes, he can spot them. So he's got a good eye. But I think he would be into definitely retro gaming and gadgets, because he loves them.
Mhm.
So if anything gadgety, he'd be in there, and yeah, I think he'd enjoy that.
Yeah, my husband's the same. I think it
Oh.
would be gadgets.
Echo.
We've got an echo.
Oh.
It would be gadgets or gaming stuff because he's really into his gaming. He's
I hate going to PC World with him.
yeah.
He's looking at all the gadgets and tellies and telling me about 4K and I don't know what he's on about.
Darren's not so bad now, but when we were both working full time, he was really into his gadgets and he had to have the latest of everything. But thankfully, I've knocked that out of him now. Made him realise he doesn't have to have the latest television every year, because that used to drive me crazy.
So Kelly, if your husband, I'm using that term, husband, is has a good eye for stuff, do you take him around with you to look for stuff? Does he sort?
No. He don't mind going around the car boot, but not with me.
Oh, because he sounds like he's quite useful.
Well, he's very useful, yeah. But
looking for things that are, you know,
yeah,
that would be really worth something.
He don't like going around with me because I like to look at everything, and he's more of a scanner. He'll scan, and if there's nothing that interests him, he won't look at anything else.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He's one of them sort of people. But he couldn't do the early mornings at car boot. He won't get up for car boot early like I do.
Don't blame him.
When I stand the car boot, he'll often come down and bring me a cup of coffee and help me pack up, but he won't come with me to sell it.
So my next question is similar to that. What does your partner think of you reselling, and do they get involved? And I'll ask Karen first.
I asked him this, and he's like, "What am I meant to think of it? It's a job." I don't think he's got no interest in it at all. And does he get involved? Well, we went out for lunch yesterday because it's Valentine's Day. We went all out, went to Wetherspoons, and then we went to the charity shops afterwards. That was about it. But he didn't actually even look around. He stood outside. So no, there's no wish to be involved, which is good.
What about you, Heather?
Yeah, I agree. I have the same thing. If it's charity shops, he'll stand around outside looking like a lost Great Dane puppy. Feeling very sorry for himself. Shopping really isn't his thing. I think he's fascinated by it and sort of intrigued by the fact that money can be made from other people's tat. I think he finds the amount of stuff that is around the house frustrating. But I think he can understand now, after all this time, that I'm not off my rocker. I'm not completely mad. Well, I might be, but not about this. And he can see that actually there is good money to be made. And I like showing him, you know, successes or something that I've picked up. He might not be interested, but I feel he should at least have some knowledge. But yeah, generally, he just leaves it well alone. It works for me. It works for him. He's not stepping on my toes. And that's quite important.
Yeah.
But then in fairness, how interested are you in what he does day to day at work? Exactly like me. He goes out, he'll tell me his stories, you know, and I'll listen to them. But I don't want to know how to fit a gas cooker, so why does he want to know how to list a jumper on eBay? You know, it's horses for courses.
And what about you, Kelly?
Well, I think he's used to it now, but initially he was fascinated because we come from a family of reselling. So he went to an antiques fair once with my brother to help him unload, and he was just fascinated by the whole thing. So yeah, but he's used to it. Could I work with him? I think I could. If he had a setup like Andrew and Nick, where we're in separate parts and not under each other's feet, I think that could work quite well. But I don't think it'll ever happen because Barry likes the security of his job. He likes to know that he's got a certain amount of money coming in each week, and he likes that security. So no, I don't think it'd ever happen.
Well, with Darren, he's been really good at helping me set my room up, and he's put lots of shelves up for me and like build me my photography area, things like that. But he's not really interested in what I do sort of day to day. I mean, he does know that there's more to it. He thought it was a lot easier than it is, but because he does shift work and he's home like in a weekday, he sees what I do in a day, and he does know that there's a lot more to it now, which is good. He appreciates that there's more to it. And he does carry the bags for me, as I've said before, and he does come in the charity shops. He likes to look at the gaming bits and the CDs and that, but he doesn't really look at stuff, you know, that I'm looking at really. But he does come in with me. But he's always liked shopping, so that's probably why. But yeah, I don't think I mean, he likes to know when I've had a good sale. If he hears a ka-ching, he likes to know what it is, sort of thing. But that's about it, really. He doesn't really get involved, really. And I've changed the question slightly for Andrea and said, what do your family think of you reselling?
I think they're getting used to it after 17 years. But, well, I'd say certain parts of my family, like my cousins, my uncle and aunt, they're really interested in it. They ask us lots of questions all the time when we see them. They're really, you know, they find it fascinating, and some of them have tried it as well. But my direct family, like my mum and my nan, they just really don't get it. They're not interested in hearing about it, and I don't think they really think I have an actual job. So, yeah. My mum's
sad, that, isn't it, really? Because
supportive over it, but
I mean, really, we probably work harder than a lot of people that have normal jobs, because a lot of people do just sit at a desk all day.
Absolutely, yeah, and longer hours, definitely.
Yeah,
because we never really switch off, do we? We're still answering questions at 11 at night. So
yeah, and a lot of people, they just come home, switch off, don't even think about work. Whereas it's constantly, especially with when you've got the app on your phone, it's constantly there, isn't it, at the front of your mind?
Yeah, that's a funny thing, actually. A conversation I was having with Ellen the other day, that she's never known anything different than us reselling, because we've done it since she was born. And you know, she's at a point in her sort of education where it's constantly come home, do homework, do lots of work, go to bed kind of thing. And now some of her friends are getting jobs and she's looking for a job. And she came home the other day and she was saying, you know, if I got a job, I would just come home and then I could switch off. I wouldn't have to do anything. I wouldn't have to do any other work or anything. And it was like a revelation turn. And it made me realise that she doesn't know that sort of culture, because we're always working. We never stop.
Do you think, Andrea, it'd be any good for her doing merch or something? Because she's quite arty, isn't she?
I think it would be great. But
Sophie started doing shirts for it.
She's at that age where if we suggest something for her to do, she's not going to do it.
Yeah.
She can do it off her own back. So I try to plant the seeds of things, and so does Nick. Maybe we'll do something like that one day, but right now, no, because we've suggested it.
Yeah, because Sophie started, well, she's almost finished her first design, because I've still got a merch account. So she's going to do it on that, because the whole idea of that is I don't want her, if she goes on to university, to have to cripple herself in debt when she can actually just run off of something like that, even if merch isn't still around then, you know.
Yeah. I'd love to get Ellen like selling on Depop or doing things like that, just to get some extra money in, but it's a tough crack.
So
can we just go? Oh, Karin again. Sorry.
All right, go, Kelly.
I'm just going to go back, because Indy did actually reply to what her handle was. I don't know if you saw it. She was Madonna, and I think it's the husband now. He was Ziggy Stardust.
Oh, cool. I was just going to say the last question. No, sorry. Is it the last question? No, the second to last question was, could you work together and would you want to? But adapted for Andrea was, how do you find working together?
Well, we haven't killed each other yet. I almost killed him last week. We had a really bad week. Things came to a head, but we cleared the air and now things are so much better. So I think you need to do that every now and then. But yeah, we adapt, and we, you know, as you know, we work in separate spaces. That really helps. We've worked in the same space before, and that doesn't really work. And we just find ways that it works, and it's an ongoing thing. Like last week, there was an issue where I was feeling that he wasn't listening to me, and I ended up shouting at him, and he shouted at me, and then, you know, now we're listening to each other. So, you know, it's ever changing, ever adapting.
So the question to everyone else would be, could you work together and would you want to? And I would say with me and Darren, I know for 100% fact there is no way that we could work together, because I am very do things the right way, and I'm quite like, I have to make sure things are done how I like them done. And he's dyslexic. He does things sort of half-assed, and I just know that he would just drive me crackers. So I know that we couldn't work together. Possibly if we were in separate spaces like Andrew and Nick, then possibly we could, if we were doing things our own way. But actually, both of us working on my eBay account, no way.
So you think you could do 2 separate eBay shops then? Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
Because he does things in a just total different way. I think his brain just works in a different way because he's dyslexic. He just works in a different way to mine. So, you know, he'd have to do it his own thing, sort of thing. I'll ask you, Kelly, but you kind of answered it, didn't you?
What if I could work with Barry?
Yeah.
I'd like to one day, but I don't think he would be willing to give up his job. I have visions of us getting a big camper van and going around car booting all summer, different parts of the country. He'd obviously drive, because you know I'm like with me driving, and I'd have to wear a blindfold. But no, it's not going to happen. It's one of them pipe dreams.
Maybe when he's retired.
One of these things that you think about and you think, well, yeah, that'd be nice. In reality, I don't think it would be, but there you go.
What about you, Heather?
I think we'd have to have our own separate spaces, definitely, because we work very, very differently. I think we'd probably want our own eBay accounts because, again, we work very differently and we'll be dealing with different things. I do think that we'd complement each other because he's quite likes things like the bookkeeping side of things and the logistics and maybe some of the packaging and the stuff that I hate. And I could be probably better at some of the descriptive writing and that kind of speed listing. So I think we probably could work together in that way, but we have to keep things quite separate, I think, for sanity, because we'd like to stay friends.
And what about you, Karen? Is your husband there today?
He is. He's standing just over there. Could I work with him? No. Could he work with me? No.
No chance.
No chance, exactly. He said yesterday, so I'm not bashing him, as people like to say, we husband bash, right? That if he was to be self-employed and do what we do, he'd load up the computer, he'd turn on the PlayStation, and he'd work for that 5-10 minutes it takes for the PlayStation to load up, then that'd be him done for the day. So, yes. No, he is not one to be self-employed. Or even said that himself. You know, he's not self-motivated enough to be self-employed. So, yeah. And we like having our own space and working for ourselves. So, but yeah.
So my next question is, and I spoke to my husband about this, would your partner's ego be dented if you earn more than him? And I said that to Darren, and he said he'd blooming love it. He'd absolutely love it if I earned more than him. But he said there's fat chance of that happening. I was like, thanks, love. So what about you, Kelly?
Yeah, I think Barry he'd say he'd love it as well. He'd say, oh, I'll take some time off then, because he's always doing overtime. So, yeah, I don't think he'd mind at all.
Yeah. And what about you, Heather?
I think he'd be delighted and quite proud if I'd managed to make it work that well. I think he knows he'd probably have to help me because I'd be a frazzle if I actually out-earned him, because he's doing quite well at the moment. And also because it's not steady money either. That in itself is, you might ostensibly 1 month earn more than them, but then, you hit, July and August, and all of a sudden the tumbleweed is rolling across the plain. So, yeah, he'd find that a lot more uncomfortable. But yeah, I think generally it doesn't hurt his ego, because I mean, when we met, I was earning more than him. So it's kind of, we've had situations where I've earned more and then he has, but I'd like to, but I think I'd have to work bloody hard to out earn him. Definitely.
And Andrea, to you, I would say, is there competition between you and Nick on sales?
No, not really, because we have the same shop and it all goes the same way. So, but he did say that because I read him some of the questions, and he said if I was to earn all the money, he'd be quite happy. He said I could just sit back and I could just poodle about with all my different ideas that I want to do, and you can earn all the money. I'd be quite happy. So, yeah.
Yeah, Darren said he'd love to be a kept man.
Obviously, he wouldn't care. He just wouldn't care. He's like, go on, they earn more than me. I'd love to earn the same as him. I'd love to earn the same as him. If I could earn the same, I'd be happy.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, he don't care. It's all going in the same pot, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it just means we'll have more money to do more stuff.
Do you know what? I've been too fast, haven't I, with the questions? Because that's all the questions. So I'm going to have to ask the chat if you've got any questions.
Oh,
Or if anyone's got any subjects they want to talk about, because I've whizzed through them too quickly.
I know Shelley's come on and said that she also would very much like to be the main breadwinner again, because I think she was in her previous career. So there's a lot of love out there for why shouldn't we earn as much as the fellas? Why not? It can be done, but it's in reselling. It's tricky to do it consistently because you've really got to be. You're only one person. You can only do so much. You know.
I did for a little while earn more than Darren because I was obviously in an administrative job, so that pays more than care work. Well, it does when you first start care work anyway. Darren's gone up. He's had like incremental pay rises, but because I've been there longer, I ended up earning more, earning quite good money, but it was a really stressful job, and I was getting more and more responsibility, and I was taking the job home a lot, which is really not a good thing to do, especially if you're not good with stress, which I'm not very good with stress.
Oh, we've got some questions coming in here.
Oh, excellent.
David McGregor has asked us, when did your husband last cook for you, and what was it, and was it nice?
Well, I was lucky. I got my dinner cooked for me last night for Valentine's, and he was going to do steak and chips, but I said I didn't fancy chips. So he done me steak and mashed potato and onion rings.
Oh.
Barry only ever cooks one meal. That's all he ever cooks. I never cook it. That is, if we're having it, he's got to cook it, and that is steak, chips, and salad. And he's perfected it. It's absolutely fantastic. So he can't cook anything else. He's asking me how to cook omelets the other day. But yeah, steak, chips, and salad with onion rings and all the dressings and all that. We'll have that now and again, and he knows that if we're having it, he's cooking it.
Yeah, I never cook steak because I never get it right. So that's Darren cooks about 3 things. I taught him how to cook toad in a hole, and what's the other thing he can do? Oh, he can do like something with mashed potato and spaghetti, like something really easy, but that's about it. So
yeah, I can't cook about once or twice a week.
Oh,
So
that's good.
He can cook. It's good. He's off 1 or 2 days a week. He should do the cooking. But yeah, he normally cooks once or twice a week. He can cook virtually anything, like dinner-wise. I mean, we don't go extravagance, but he can make a spaghetti bolognese, and he can do a roast. He can make a lasagna. He can do the basics. So.
Oh, I'd love it if someone could do me a roast. I only get it when I go to my mum and dad's.
He makes his own gravy as well. I can't do that. He can. I like Shelley wrote in there. Tom heated up a prawn curry in the microwave last Saturday, and it was very nice, Tar. Better than the raw pasta he tried to give the girls once.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Nick's asked about our children. Who's got children? How old are they? Boys, girls, that sort of thing.
I've only got the one.
Shall I start?
Yeah, go on.
Oh, well, go on then.
I said I've only got the one son. He's about 12 and a half, so he's just about to turn into a Larry teenager. But yes, 12 going on about 30 in his head. He has a very strong moral compass. That's all I'm going to say. It's very bewildering.
Lovely. I've got 2 girls, 2 grown-ups. Kelsey's 21. She's just gone away for the weekend. And Charlie, who is 19. So yeah, 2 grown-up girls.
And I've got one of each because I'm just greedy. I've got Scott, who's 9, and Sophie, who's 10. So, yeah.
That's like the perfect family unit, isn't it? 2.4 children.
Not when the 10-year-old thinks she's 15, 16, no.
Yeah. Well, as we know, I've only got one. She's away on a school trip. I had to get up at 5:30 with her this morning to see her off on her school trip.
Mm.
I did actually go back to bed, I have to admit.
Don't blame you.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, I don't mind sharing, but like me and my husband had fertility issues, and we had all the tests done and everything, and we were going to start ICSI, which is like IVF but a bit more complicated, but and everything. And I had such a high chance of having a miscarriage because of being type 1 diabetic, and I've got some other health issues as well. And we spent a few weeks talking about it, and we decided that, you know, it would have been lovely to have children, but it's not the be all and end all in life. And you know, we had to think about my health first, and also both of our mental health, because we were both so stressed about it. So we took the decision not to go any further and have fertility treatment. And I did feel bad about it for a little while. And then as time's gone on, I mean, when everybody knows that you want children, all you ever do is get asked by people, how's everything going with the fertility treatment, you know, or it gets really tedious having to give the same answer all the time. So I think everybody knows now. I mean, I'm nearly 40. I think everyone knows now we're not gonna have children. But we've got Monty, and he's like our surrogate baby, and we both do treat him like a baby.
I've got a friend who's just over 50 now, but she says she went for a whole point in her life because her and her husband chose, they never wanted children, so they never had them. And she used to have to make a point from about the age of 35 onwards, when people go, oh, have you got any children? And she'd had to go, no, because we don't want any. Because people would go, if she just went, no, we haven't, they go, oh. It's like this assumption that, you know, everybody is going to have children.
And it really isn't for everybody. It's not always the way things should be. I mean, I thought I was never going to have children because I had treatment for cancer when I was 30. So in theory, it wasn't possible. So when I had my son at 43, and that was like, I'd almost given up. You know, I had quite a lot of miscarriages. We had quite a lot of attempts. And I said to myself it was the last time. I wasn't going to keep doing it for my physical health, my mental health, and everything. And thankfully, it all went incredibly smoothly. And I now have one son, but he always wanted a brother or a sister, well, brother, to play with. And I had to say to him, I'm sorry, sweetie, I'm too old. That ship has sailed.
Yeah, that's what we said, because before we had Sophie, we lost 3. And I said to Carl, I said, look, I can't do it again. After this one, if this doesn't work, you've got to get something done, because I couldn't do it again. So, because it is very psychologically harming when you go through them.
It's very hard, yeah. It's very hard. And not just psychologically, physically as well, just what the body goes through. And I know a lot of people who've been through IVF and ICSIs and all these kinds of things, what it does to particularly the mother's body is extraordinary. It's really a big health risk to do. So I can understand why people think twice about it. It's a massive, massive thing.
Yeah. I think we had such a small chance of conceiving. And Darren said he just didn't want me to go through all of that, and then it to be such a low chance of us actually conceiving. And at first I found it really hard, but then, you know, as time's gone on, I've got a lot of children in my family who I give a lot of love to and give me a lot of love. And as I say, I know, you know, you do feel like as a woman that you're supposed to have a child, but it just wasn't meant for me, you know. And I love Darren, and I don't blame Darren, because we've both got fertility problems, so I don't blame him and he doesn't blame me. It's just what's happened. And I saw someone said in the chat, would we consider adoption? And I don't think it would be fair in the property that we live in. If we had a child, we'd be so crammed in and I'd have nowhere to run my business. And with adoption, you know, I don't know. I think that would be quite hard on us as well. You know, you go through a lot when you adopt as well, I think. So I think we're just happy as we are now.
Lex has actually asked for some tips on finding a husband or landowner, which made me giggle.
LonelyLandowners.com, Lex, maybe that's a website you could invent.
I would say if you like someone, make sure you give them plenty of eye contact and smile, because men are really dim and they don't realise when you like them. You've got to really spell it out.
Also, go to young farmers meet associations, because they've got one.
Oh, that's a good idea, Eva.
Young farmers. Apparently, I wouldn't know because no. Try it.
Yeah. I noticed there's a question from Mandy for me saying, do I know how to do the post? Because she doesn't. Nick has showed me a couple of times and I have sort of done it through. But yeah, I think I would have to do it regularly to really learn it. But I do, in theory, know how to do it. What are you laughing at, Heather?
Sorry?
What were you laughing at?
I'm looking at the chat, seeing the comments.
Lady Ray asked, what's the best part of having a partner for you? So what's the best part of having a partner, Karin?
He's an excellent dog walker. Oh, he's going to kill me for that. I think it's just having someone there, to share your life with. I think it's really nice to have someone to talk to and, share your thoughts. I mean, I'm a massive thinker, so he does get a lot from me, and I know a lot of it he goes in one ear and out the other, because I say to him all the time, I told you that, and he denies it. But it's really nice to have someone to talk to.
Why? Yeah, my partner. Gosh, I would say it's just lovely having someone in your life that you can share everything with, and that, I mean, the best partnerships work out when you both add something to each other's life. So your life is richer for knowing that person and having them in your life, and hopefully you give them the same. And if you complement each other, right?
I should have said that, Heather.
That's all right, babe. I know that's what you mean, but it's that complementary thing where you agree on certain fundamental things in what life's about, but you do them in your own way, and you become more than just an individual. You kind of become plus a bit more. It's nice. It's wonderful.
For me, Barry makes me laugh every day. Don't matter what mood I'm in, he can make me laugh, because he's so silly and funny. But he balances me out as well. He can if I'm finding I'm stressing over something, he just knows how to bring me back round and make me see sense, because sometimes I can spiral out of control with things and panic about things and worry about things, and he's so much the opposite. So he's like the yin to my yang, and brings me balance, and I do the same for him. So yeah, we just work, and it's just finding someone like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
That you can share your life with, because I think we're all quite lucky because we're all in long-term relationships. So
I think at the end of the day, it's about having a best friend, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
As long as your husband or partner, whoever, is your best friend, then you've got everything, really.
Yeah, I do think.
We love them, really, don't we?
We do.
We're not man-bashing, are we?
No, we're not bashing today. We're saying they're a very, very important part of our lives.
Yeah.
And we couldn't do this. Yeah, I would find it much harder to do this job without the groundedness and the support, and just being kind of left to my own devices. We're very independent people, but we do support each other unconditionally. So yeah, that really helps.
Yeah, I do.
They're feeling the love in the chat. group hugs and soppy lots, and
I like Kelly's comment. Cat doctor, it's no secret, Tom's very lucky to have me. Yeah, I do agree that you're very yin and yang, aren't you? You know what I mean? I think most people who are in partnerships, or together for a long time are. I think if I couldn't be with someone that was like me, it'd drive me insane. It'd drive me potty. So yeah, I think you do have to you have to have that level of similarity, but obviously you have certain parts of personality, I think, that are different, that counterbalance each other.
Yeah.
What I should have said was thank you to Darren, because he changed my life. I was living in a small seaside town. I had no confidence. I didn't do anything on my own. I used to do everything. My mum and dad used to take me to I never done anything on my own. And he gave me the confidence to feel brave enough to move 300 miles away from my family and start a new life. And I'm better for it. I'm a better person for it. I know I am, because I can actually speak to people now. I was so shy, and I wouldn't dream of being able to do anything like this. So thank you, Darren. You have helped me change my life.
Oh,
Thank you, Darren, too.
oh. David says it's getting old far too soppy. He wants to hear about the worst traits of your partner.
Oh yeah, I could do that.
Here we go. Hang on, let me get my list out.
Where are we now?
I think the thing that winds me up about Barry the most is he's very particular about things. He, on the point of OCD for some things, he's got to have he's got his own airbrush that he's had for about 20 years, I think, that he keeps in his bag, and that's the only airbrush he'll use. And things like little things like this, and such and such got to go. It's got to go back there, even if you're using it and you're not getting up to take it back in the kitchen. He will get up to take it back and put it back. Little things like that I'll let him go on with it. If you want to do it, then you do it. I'm not doing it. Yeah. And he's a bit funny about food as well. He's not very adventurous when it comes to food. He's very pie and chips and steak and chips, and that's about. I mean, even when we have a Chinese, he has chicken and chips. Not adventurous at all with food.
The thing with me and my husband is we do kind of operate in our own sort of spaces, and I go 19 to the dozen. I zip through things. I've got a butterfly mind. I can have 6 conversations all at once, but he's very slow and steady. He's this calming sort of influence, but sometimes I kind of like, come on, speed. So we have that sometimes where we're not in the same space, but I do value the fact that he goes, he is a good steadying influence, whereas I'm a whirlwind of madness. He's that sort of calm river. So,
yeah. Carl sometimes annoys me. Exactly the same reason. Carl is very laid back, but I am very highly strung. So he's like, he can be very laid back. Things happen when they happen, and I'll be like, no, it needs to happen now. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this, and then I'll just end up shouting, and then he'll calm me down. Yeah, I think but then that's what makes it work, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone's advising Nick to pull the internet connection out quick.
An indie chick wants to put a rocket up her husband's ass. That's what I feel like doing sometimes, but you can't make them. No.
I just wish Nick wasn't a workaholic. I'd like him to think about things that aren't just all work related all the time, and to do other things and to pay attention to other things.
Like his family.
Do you think in that respect it would have been nice if in some way you could have kept a separate unit where you kept your stock away, Andrea? Because I remember when I first started watching, you had this before the shop, you had that unit. Would it have been nice in some ways if you could keep it like that, or did he still work?
No, he still works either on his phone, the iPad, whatever, not sitting on the sofa. He would still, doesn't switch off from it.
Nick, don't take the notepad to the pub tonight, for God's sake.
Otherwise, next week, Solar Ladies Live, we'll be talking about notepads and burning them.
I'm going to say sorry. I'm going to say sorry, Darren, if you watch this, but I've got 3 main things, and you know all of them because I moan at you constantly. Number 1 is you never finish anything. The kitchen is driving me crazy.
And your kitchen didn't finish yet, Karen.
No.
Oh my God.
I done this brilliant blog of like the kitchen, in different stages, and it was so nearly done. And that was September, was it, last year? And he still hasn't finished it. And his excuse is the weather. He's got things that he has to do outside to finish it.
Wasn't it a skirting board and you had a leaky radiator?
The radiator got sorted.
Right.
We've got a different plumber for the radiator. But the skirting board, there's still things hanging down from the ceiling, wires, and there's still a bit of bare wall and the back step. So there you go. You've got a list, Darren. So he never finishes anything. And another thing is he's last minute Larry with everything. Like, I'm quite organised with cards. I mean, I have to get all his family cards and things like that because he forgets or he does it at the last minute. And he's the same with my cards. And he said he was going to get me a Valentine's card and he didn't, but I'm not so bothered because I'm used to it now. But yeah, he's very last minute Larry. And like you, Kelly, he's very, very fussy, like Barry. He never tries anything new, although his family think I've done wonders because when I met him, he literally lived on sweets, crisps and Coca-Cola. That's all he lived on. He didn't used to cook meals or eat very much, or he'd have McDonald's and things like that. And I got him eating vegetables and roast dinners and stuff. So,
Yeah.
And rant over.
There's the toilet seat debate going on in the chat, and they're surprised that that's not been brought up. I mean, how do you feel about that, ladies? The toilet seat debate.
I honestly don't understand the fuss about it, to be honest with you.
No, I don't either.
Like, if the toilet seat's up, I just put it down, and if Nick goes to put it up when he wants to go, so I don't understand the issue.
Me neither. I think soft clothes is the answer. Soft clothes.
That's what I've got.
I was brought up with just his sister and his mum for, I think he was about 11. So he was well trained to make sure to put the toilet seat down.
I think it's a misconception then that it bothers us because it don't bother me either. And Indy's just said it don't bother her either. It's one of if you got to lift it up, you've got to lift it up. If you've got to put it down, you've got to put it down. It's one of them things, isn't it? So there you go. That's that myth dispelled.
Indy Chick says she makes him do his business in the garden. I presume that's her husband. Oh, George Ross has joined us. Hello, George.
Shelley's disagreeing. It bothers her.
Oh, well, there you go. So some it does, some it doesn't.
I think Darren's got better since we've had Monty because Monty went through a phase of being obsessed with the toilet and going in the bathroom all the time. So
he does that.
Yeah.
Obsessed with toilet water. Obsessed with it.
Yeah.
I've just read another funny question off David McGregor. Are you the little spoon or the big spoon?
Oh.
I'm the big spoon.
Don't get it. Don't get it.
When you're cuddling in bed, are you the little spoon or the big spoon?
Oh, I'm the little one. I'm the little one.
one.
I can't be facing anyone. I have to have air. I have to have air.
Yeah, no. We're knives and forks. We're separate.
Knives and forks.
It's like he's 6 foot bloody 4. He takes up all the space in the bed.
Yeah. We have a king size bed and we like our own space. So
do we, but with him, there's no room. I'm still hanging on the edge.
I often wake up and Nick's across the bed, like diagonally.
Yeah. Please tell me you're the big spoon, Karen.
Yes, I am.
Oh yeah.
Darren lays across the bed diagonal because I'm so short I don't need the end of my side of the bed anyway. And he puts his head on my chest and then I put my arm around him, so I am the big spoon.
Oh.
Couldn't do that. I feel all entrapped. I have to have air around me. Fresh. I can make a bid for freedom in the night. Oh, you sleep in the same bed?
Oh, Tat Doctor, I don't know. That's a classic old one, isn't it?
Exactly. I would have a super king size bed, but the bedroom is not actually big enough. But I do have a super king size duvet because you know that crocodile roll that people do and they just take it all with them. That's what happens, and I can still end up with no duvet. And the bloody thing's enormous.
Not a good idea. I think I need to get one of those because I often wake up with no duvet on me.
Yeah, get a bigger duvet.
Yeah.
Or get a different husband.
No, we've got a normal size double size bed and a king size duvet because when we first got Pepper, she used to have this habit of biting her feet.
Oh no.
So we used to have a duvet over us so she couldn't actually bite us. But now it's, because, well, no, I nick all the duvet. So he gets left with the little dregs on the end.
Right, has anyone got anything else they want to say? The only other thing I was going to ask is what's the plans for the rest of today for you guys?
Nothing.
I've got my mum coming round. I don't tend to get much done on a Friday. I've got my mum coming round later, so I'll keep you posted on my weekly prezzo.
Yeah.
And I'll let you know. Because my mum brings me a random present every week, and it is random. So, yeah.
I look forward to seeing what she brings you. It's,
The last couple of weeks what have I had in the last couple of weeks? Jar of cockles, a bag of prunes, a hat with all blingy diamonds on.
Hat, yeah.
Yeah, that's what started it off, wasn't it? I said, you've got to see this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I never know what she's going to bring.
Excellent.
So, yeah, I'm not getting much else done today. Barry's not long got up. I heard him get up. So we'll have some time together before my mum comes and tea, and then that's it. Then he's off to work. So,
Yeah, no.
What about you, Karen?
Nothing else planned for the day. I've not really done a lot, to be honest, the last couple of days, but I've not needed to because I worked my blinking butt off for the first 3 days of the week, so I didn't have to really work.
Yeah.
Because Carl's off for 3 days, so I didn't have to really work them. I've had to do the post and that and schedule the listings, but that's it. So, yeah, not a lot else. I've got Pepper sitting here ready to scratch me.
Heather?
Right. Well, I've got a pile of things sitting here waiting to be photographed. I've actually got to clear my stockroom because we've got someone coming in next week, which is half term, of course, as you all know, coming in to refurbish our sash windows. So the problem is my stockroom was jam-packed and I've had to take a load of stuff out so they can actually get to the window to do it. So I've got to go and clear some more stuff because it's not pretty. So, yeah, that'll be me humping stuff about for the rest of today.
And are you going for your meal tonight, did you say, Andrea?
Yeah, we're going out for a meal. We're not going to McDonald's, David.
Well, there's no notepad.
We're going to, I don't know if you know the chain Pints, Pots and Pizzas or something like that. We're going to that because they do some really nice vegan dishes there. So,
All right.
yeah.
Oh, I'll enjoy that.
Thank you.
and it's a date, not a business meeting, Nick.
No notepad, Nick.
Yeah, but what else can we talk about? Or we'll just be sitting there like, I don't know what to say, you know.
It's like when we used to go through this point where we used to go, it's like, all right, we won't talk about the kids. Well, what do we talk about then? What did we used to talk about before kids?
We can't talk about our work because we both work together, you know.
If we're struggling in that situation, we tend to have a fun war and then just see where we go from there. Yeah, breaks the ice, breaks the tension. There you go.
Well, guess what? I'm actually going out. I'm going to go to my local town, Killingworth, and there's one charity shop there. So I'm going to go and have a look in there. But I'm going to go to, there's a big, massive Wilko's there. So I need a load of stuff from Wilko's. So I'm going to go there. So not really exciting, but at least I'm getting out.
Yeah.
Darren's just said he wants a McDonald's brought back, and that is a no.
Okay. That's him told.
I was going to ask Heather, have you got because I know you were looking at getting a cleaner. Have you got a cleaner yet?
Yes, I've had a cleaner for the last 4 weeks and she's wonderful and amazing and the best thing I ever did.
Wow.
She comes on a Monday afternoon. So that kind of means my house is clean and clear for the rest of the week. I've never seen the stairs look so nice.
Wow.
It's brilliant.
I always wonder are you in the house at the time? I always think they're going to look at me and think, why aren't you cleaning your house? Why am I cleaning your house while you're in it?
Well, I did warn her. I did say, look, it's not going to be like my parents' house. It's not a case of you coming around and flicking a duster. We have issues here, and I'm not a big housework person. Hence why I need your help. And it's really kitchen, bathroom, and a bit of a whiz around with the Hoover. I said, I don't seriously expect it to look spotless, but anything that helps me is fantastic. And she's wonderful. She's really lovely. And I wouldn't be without her, although I will be without her next Monday because, like I say, they're coming in to rip the windows out, so there's no point in having her here. and I'm usually in when she comes. So I just tend to take myself up to a different room and do some work. I just keep out of the way. I'll make her a cup of tea, obviously. Give her a cup of tea and then let her get on and keep out of the way.
So how many hours do you have a cleaner for? Sorry, it's going completely opposite.
Yeah, so it's only 2 hours, just 2 hours.
Mm.
But you know, I wish I could outsource my cooking and everything, and washing and everything else, really, but I can't.
You do get mobile washing services that take your washing and then go and do it for you and iron it and bring it back to you.
That would be lovely, but yeah, I kind of have backed off ironing anything anyway. I'm just not bothering anymore because I haven't got the time. And we've got a washing machine and tumble dryer sat under the stairs, so it seems a bit silly not to use them.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, I just don't get joy out of house stuff. It never has been my bag. I'd much rather be out hunting for treasure in charity shops.
Yeah.
I think all of us don't really have a regular cleaning routine as such. And you just tend to leave things a little bit longer than you actually should, and then it's a case of spending the whole day blitzing everything and making it all look spotless, and then you don't keep a routine up, do you? So with her coming in every Monday, I can really see how that's going to help you. And Mandy's asking, if you don't mind answering, how much do they charge? Because I think she's tempted as well.
I'm down here in the south, so I know rates vary. I actually pay her £24, so it's £12 an hour. But I mean mind you, she rocks up in a bloody great Mercedes, so she's clearly not doing it for cash. But she genuinely likes what she does, and I like what I do. So you know, it's a win-win. She actually cleans for my parents, which is how I got hold of her and how I knew she was going to be wonderful. But you do feel a bit embarrassed having someone in your house, and we had to have a big tidy up before I'd even let her in to start the process. I said, we have to clear, because you can't hoover if there's stuff all over the floor. So it makes us that little bit tidier, which is no bad thing.
Yeah.
No bad thing.
Yeah.
Graham said he's gave his cleaner 5 years off.
Is it? You've got like the organised mum, haven't you? You know the organised mum on Instagram.
No.
Yeah, the _organised_mum. And basically, she's got this thing that you can get all the housework done in like an hour a day for Monday to Friday. I mean, her house, how she does it, I don't know, but
well, maybe she can. But I'm in a 2-story Victorian house, and it's the stairs that get me. I can't be doing with hoovering. You know, my time is better spent. I mean, okay, it's costing me £100 a month, but I think what I do with that time and how much less stressed I am about housework, it's worth it. It's just, it's me. Someone else could probably cope quite happily, but for me, it's the best gift I could have given myself. And I'd always promised I would do it when I felt I was earning enough. And yes, I can do it now.
I must admit, if I get to the point where I'm earning full time, I'm getting a cleaner. I'm getting a cleaner. There's no ifs, ands, and buts. I'm getting one.
Well, believe it or not, we've reached our hour.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you
So
go.
thanks everyone. That was a good chat. And as I said, you know, I think I was probably the harshest one partner. So I'm probably going to have to do some apologising later.
They wanted McDonald's now, won't they?
You want to
Get him the McDonald's, it'll all be fine.
Well, have a good day, ladies. And thanks everyone in the chat. I'm sorry I forgot to say hello to everyone in the chat. So thanks everyone for joining us. And we'll see you next week. I don't know whose channel we're on next week. Does anyone know?
We never know.
Yeah.
We'd so late in play.
Yeah.
Thank you, Karen.
Oh, you're
Thank you
welcome.
very much. Bye.
Thanks for joining me. Take care, everyone.
Bye.